And they believed that not only women should be educated, but also receive the full rights of citizenship.
As our new community strives to provide equal education opportunities for men and women, we must also strive for equal rights for women in all spheres of society. This would include the right of a woman to control her own wages, the retention of inherited property, and the guardianship of children if there happens to be a divorce. Women need training and opening of various occupations, such as the ministry and medicine and public speaking. 10 years ago, in 1848, in Seneca Falls, New York, a group of women and men met to address the rights of women. They agreed upon a declaration of sentiments, which began, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. Equal rights are to be guaranteed to all Americans in our Constitution and Bill of Rights. It is no longer acceptable to deny women the right to vote. Women need a say in the development of our new country. By voting, women will be able to achieve full equality."
I want ein Bier!
Perhaps you should move to Thompsonville or Frankfort.
Or Frankfort. But on to Frankfort, which grew up at the same time as Benzonia, as more settlers arrived to the area from all parts of the country and all parts of our world. Our lighthouse, our beacon to light their way, stood to offer them safe passage. And later, those with the life-saving service, and still later the Coast Guard, would be stationed here at Point Betsie to be valued members of our community and help those conducting commerce on the lake, to be ready to offer aid to those in peril. Join with us as we offer our prayer, our hymn, that those who have served here at Point Betsie in the past and those who work to protect us today may always be safe. Let us join together and sing, "Eternal Father, strong to save."
A couple of decades pass by. Through these years, all lighthouse keepers understand their primary responsibility. It is to tend to their beacons of light. But these light keepers had another concern as well. Of course they did. It was for mariners' safety. To their colleagues' troubles, to wrecked vessels and stranded mariners, lighthouse keepers responded as best they could. It was no different for Point Betsie's first lighthouse keepers who first arrived on these shores and tried to help as best they could those foundering in their approach to or departure from that magnificent body of water out there known as the Manitou Passage.
Official help came to the country's lighthouse keepers in the mid-1800s with the formation of the National U.S. Life-Saving Service, and by the 1876, something besides the lighthouse appeared on this site. An important life-saving station was built here at Point Betsie, right here. It's gone now, but it consisted of many buildings just south of the lighthouse, stretching out on the very beaches where you now sit.
I want you to imagine the ghostly presence, feel the ghostly presence of those life-saving crews. It was on these beaches that dedicated keepers and crews of surfmen patrolled through the days and through the nights, always on the lookout for their fellows in need of assistance. They were gallant human beings. They walked for miles, up and down these lonesome beaches and back again. They did it day after day, week after week. Those weeks melted into months and then into seasons. Their eyes were peeled upon the waters, and even in the darkest of nights, and especially in the worst of storms, they walked and they searched for mariners in trouble.
And when they spotted trouble, they responded to trouble. And they responded, as one Coast Guardsman was once quoted, knowing they had to go out, but they didn't have to come back. And they still went. They did it in horrendous conditions, in pouring rain and bone-chilling winds, in 22 inches of blizzardous snowfall, and in disorienting fog. They did it in heavy woolen clothes, with heavy equipment, and heavy wooden boats. There were records of their rescues, and they are gripping. Their feats are astonishing for the labor they expended and the little pay they received. We have the records, too, of their tedious watches, the endless drills preparing them for the real thing, and their lonely existence. Together with the lightkeepers, these brave souls were the altruistic forebearers of today's U.S. Coast Guard.
As a tribute to that tradition of service and bravery, we have a couple of special guests that I'm going to recognize today, and I'd like them to stand and wave their arms if possible. If there's anyone in the audience today who either served here at Point Betsie in person or who had a relative who served at Point Betsie, let's see who you are. I think that's Bill Stein. We're all the way back there leaning against the, what is that, revetment? I think there are two Wheatons over here. If you guys have ever gone to see the gravestone, you'd recognize the Wheaton name over there. Do we have Lou Payment here? Did Lou Payment make it? Where are you? Lou, wave your hand. Where are you?
Over here.
He can't get down the sand. Lou, we're remembering you. Lou has some nice memoirs of growing up here as a kid and learning how to date in Frankfort. How about Bob Margetson? Is he here? Bob, are you here? Wave your hand. I was hoping he was going to make it from Kenosha, Wisconsin. His father died a year or two ago at about 100 years old. And his father was born here in the house. And his grandfather was the lighthouse keeper. So that was pretty extraordinary. I'm sorry that Bob didn't make it. So thank you very, very much.
Those men and what they did keeping us all safe, saving numerous lives out of the Point Betsie station, are history lesson for us now. And I think they are also a metaphor. We come out here nowadays with our own thoughts, our eyes peeled on the waters with other things, modern things. But in our own way, sometimes in our lives, we all walk these lonesome beaches.
So keeping that in mind, you know the old, is it Hootie Ledbetter, is that? Who wrote?
Mississippi John Hurt.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mississippi John Hurt wrote a song called You Have to Walk That Lonesome Valley. You have to walk it by yourself. Do you know that song at all, anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go through just one verse of how Mississippi John Hurt wrote it.
Well, you got to walk